So today we're going to be talking about the talents and those who received the talents. One who received 5, one received 2, and one received 1. All the interests of Christ upon earth are entrusted to his people. And every servant of his is endowed with means enough to accomplish his own share of Christ's work. We all have our abilities. How great a privilege it is for us to be permitted to do anything for him, to be trusted by him in all the things that he has for us to do. The talents represent everything over and above natural ability. It's not our natural ability that makes us who we are. It's the way we use the supernatural that God has given us through Christ that makes us who we are. The talents represent everything over and above that natural ability by which people can advance the interests of the kingdom by their position, opportunities, and especially the measure of grace given to each man and woman who has that grace in order to serve others. Every servant of his is endowed with a means enough to accomplish his own share of Christ's work. The Lord does not quickly return in a fault-finding spirit. In other words, when he returns, he'll return in a blaze of glory, but he's not returning quickly. He's not done it. He's talked about it, but even Paul thought he was going to come back in Paul's lifetime. And he does not return in a fault-finding spirit, but delays until the wise have time to make great gains, and even the foolish to have learned some wisdom. 2 servants were wise. 1 servant was foolish, and he was thrown out where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. We have time to repair bad beginnings. Each of us have had bad beginnings. Each of us have had bad times. It is a time to take thought and to make up in some degree for lost time. It is not without significance that the servant who did nothing at all for his master was he who had received only but 1 talent. He wasn't that talented. He wasn't that gifted at what he could do. And he showed it by what he did with the 1 talent. He dug a hole and buried it. He kept it there. And when his boss or the Lord of his returned, he unburied it and he brought it to him and gave it to him just the way he had received it, making no money, no advancement for the Lord. It's not just the people who are held to this standard of fulfilling the will of God through Christ. The institutions of the world and the churches are also held to this standard. Years back, I had a church that was small and rural, very rural, up in the Adirondack Mountains, and they didn't pay their share of shared ministry. Shared ministry is something that's used in Episcopal churches, where you give a certain amount of money to the conference, and that money is used to pay the bishop and the elders that are up there, and the secretaries and the other parts that are done by the church proper. They had 100 times the money they needed to pay for their shared ministry in just one of their checking accounts, but they wouldn't do it. Finally, I paid it for them. And I also paid for 2 of my other 4 churches, but never told them who paid it off for them. I didn't want the credit. I only wanted them to shine in the eyes of the conference. They finally figured it out. They never missed a payment after that. They pay every year now. And God has rewarded them to the point that they are doing real ministry, taking care of the poor, buying Christmas for families, and buying fuel for furnaces for the elderly, and so on. A lot of those things are necessary up there in the North Country. We can't outgive God. No matter how much it costs me to pay off the 3 debts of those 4 churches, I can't outgive him. He returned it to me more than I can say, in just a manner of allowing me to serve him more and in different ways. I can honestly say that over the years, I can only remember 2 times I ever had to turn down service to God, and that was because of scheduling. One was because of mandatory school for church. We, each one of us, have the opportunity in any manner of adorning his doctrine. To be enabled to do so is in any degree, and to have the prospect of hearing. We need to hear him speak to us. We need to know that he wants us to help him. We need to know that when we do help him, we will hear these wonderful words. Well done, good and faithful servant. That's it.
All right.